I have prided myself as a leader of respecting people, being professional. That is the balance of mine. I'm not a perfect person, as has been acknowledged. Saved by the grace of God, by Jesus and Jenny. I'm not a perfect person, but redemption is real. And God forged me in ways that I know I'm prepared for.
I should ask you a point of policy here, point of procedure, because I've got people asking in the comments. They're saying, so does this mean that Pete Hegseth is now confirmed? Is he done? Does he have to do more? Obviously, this was not the confirmation vote, and in fact, there's a series of votes that need to take place. Can you take a second and just walk the audience through how these processes work?
Sure. Well, he obviously meets with senators, and then he gets in front of the committee on the hearing, and if he performs well there, if they don't see anything in background check, and I don't think they have, and he does well in the hearings, that pretty well sets the stage then for a confirmation vote. There'll be a vote on cloture, then a vote on confirmation. It takes about 4 hours total, and that's if they run the clock on all these things, that's just 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours. You can combine a vote for confirmation with a vote of cloture. So you kind of speed it up that way. But there's just a process you have to go through. It's a simple majority vote because Harry Reid basically employed the nuclear option to pack the D.C. court. So now all nominations are confirmed with just 51 votes. So again, my expectation is President Trump's nominees will be confirmed.
So you think generally all of them will be?
That's my expectation. Again, we respect the convincing victory of President Trump. He's the guy who selects who he wants serving in his administration. We're not president, he is. And I think the stats go back, I think Tom Conn's been pointing this out, that I think only 2 nominees in many, many years have not gotten all the votes of all the United States senators. It's pretty remarkable. So again, the default position of both sides when they're guys in the White House or gals in the White House would be to confirm the nominees that he puts forward.
Well, and I think that's exactly right. And I think that when you see a tectonic victory like President Trump had back in just a couple of weeks ago here, we're acting as if that the political winds haven't changed, or that the American people certainly haven't had their voice told. This was the popular vote. I personally believe that he probably did get over 50%, but I know the AP likes to keep it at 49.9 just to deny that. But he did win the popular vote. He won all 7 of the swing states. And when it comes down to it, this is a mandate delivered by the American people. Now, of course, he's going to have to deliver on that mandate and fulfill that mandate. But the mandate is certainly there, and these are the people that he's chosen, whether it's Pete Hegseth, whether it's RFK Jr., whether it's Tulsi Gabbard. And one that I wanted to ask you about as well, Russ Vought over at OMB. So the Washington Post came out yesterday and released this endorsement list, basically coming out and saying they endorsed just about all of the nominees with the exceptions of RFK, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, and Russ Vought. Now, for a lot of folks, they say the Office of Management and Budget, it's not really something that is on anyone's top of their bingo card. I don't know if it's going to get the same ratings as the Secretary of Defense hearing. But Senator, walk us through the importance of OMB and the wider budgeting process when it comes to Washington.
Well, first of all, I could not have been more pleased when I heard that President Trump is going to renominate Russ Vought to be director of OMB. It is a crucial position. He's in charge of the budget, but he's also in charge of making sure that all the decisions of the executive branch can be implemented. Regulations, again, it's a crucial decision. And to have somebody with Russ Vaught's experience, plus his dedication to trying to reduce the size, scope, and cost of government will be crucial. One of the things I think the most important thing President Trump has to do is return us to pre-pandemic levels of spending. I wrote a piece in the Wall Street Journal pointing out that in 2019, total federal spending was $4.4 trillion. Then we had the COVID, we hopped up to $6.6 trillion in 2020. We've never really come down off that level. We've dipped down below, but for the last 5 years, we've averaged $6.5 trillion. That's $2.1 trillion higher than the 4.4. Jack, that's absurd. That's like if a family, making $100,000 has an illness. Now they've got $50,000 in the medical bills. That person gets well, and the next 4 years they keep spending at $150,000. Nobody would do that. By the way, borrowing the money all the way, but that's exactly what the federal government has done. So what President Trump has to do is embrace and fight for a spending level that will dramatically reduce the size, scope, and cost of government as exists today. And I've laid out a number of options. If you'd go back to, for example, 1998, Bill Clinton's spending levels, increase them by population and inflation, and use today's Social Security, Medicare, and interest numbers, you'd be spending $5.5 trillion this year as opposed to $7 trillion. If you go back to President Obama's 2014 budget, do the same thing, we'd be at $6.2 trillion. If you use President Trump's own budget, his last budget for the spending for 2025, again, you use Social Security, Medicare, and interest as they are today, that'd be $6 trillion. So I'm just trying to lay out the rationale. We should not be spending any more than $5.5 to $6 trillion this year, and that should be used as our baseline for our 10-year budget in the future. Again, $7 trillion is completely unacceptable. Biden budgeted 7.3 for this year, again, compared to $4.4 trillion only 5 years ago. It's ridiculous. There's no justification for it. And I'm going to be pushing hard for this, again, returning to a pre-pandemic level spending, which is what every family, every business in America would do, just not the federal government who has the power to print money and devalue your currency. One final thought. $1998 now worth 51 cents. A $2014 now worth 74 cents. A $2019 worth 80 cents. That's what this massive printing of money, this massive deficit spending has done. It's devalued our currency, primarily hitting, it's a very aggressive thing to do. It is the tax on poor people in the middle class, but primarily hitting poor people.